Hello, Abusiafo. But Sunburst medicated powder. Now, on your form. Hey, say when a man in swans one years is soon. Never good now to talk about cock. I'm a what so.
Oh, don't.
It's what now I'm why you say. A crow.
Take a career, a yam, a crow, a juniper bosso. And only Sunburst medicated ointment. A wow.
My possum, to me.
When Pedro be Onia, men's na home man am ya enwu wani masi. What posso complaining na et so betra. Koto Sunburst herbal balm. Ye from Mama Sunburst. Sunburst products educhem.
Obenya Sunburst products. Our pharmacies, any herbal shops name. Et to phone friend 0551 907 393. FDA. I did jadi enkra ya tum.
Cecil Global and African Diaspora News Channel presents the Ghana Luxury Property Tour. It will be a 8-day tour coming to you starting October 1 through October 8, 2023. Now, you enjoy a 5-star stay at a hotel, the finest properties in Ghana. You connect with industry professionals. You will also visit cultural landmarks, have a meet and greet with the team, and so much more. Make sure that you go to the description box below, hit that link, just sign up.
What does it take to truly move to Ghana and begin your life here? How much does it cost, if anything, because it's not cheap? Now, many people want to move, but they do not know how much money they need to move and how much money they will need to survive for at least a year or two. And that's the reason why today we're having this chat. Hello, my name is Ndiro Ganga. I'm a business journalist by profession, and I am also a digital content creator. I have my own YouTube channel at Ndiro Ganga, where I interview and share stories of the diaspora community who've relocated to Ghana, just their real time and real life experience, their highs, their lows, and how the journey has been so far, so we can learn a thing from each other and avoid repeating the mistakes, and also build a community of like-minded people here in Accra, Ghana, and across the continent. Now, a brief background of myself. I am a Kenyan by birth and by nationality, and as a journalist, I'd traveled a lot, and I've been to Accra several times, and I really liked it. I liked the vibe, I liked the people, I liked the culture, and I was at a place in my life where I needed to get out of Nairobi, and Accra was ideal because just of the way that life and things worked here. It worked really well for the place that I was at my life. In June 2021, I packed my bags and I arrived here on the 4th of June. And this year, June, I'll be heading into my 2nd year anniversary. And boy, oh boy, it has been a roller coaster of emotions. There are good days, there are bad days, there are tears, and money is always at the center of it all. When I was moving, to be honest with you, I was just doing rough estimates, and I wish I had somebody to walk the journey with me and sort of guide me on how much money I will need to do all this, but there wasn't, and I had to learn the hard way, and that's the reason why I'm doing this video. Now, I want to take it step by step. Whichever part of the video you feel resonates with you, please take it and run with it. Number one, when you're moving here, it's common sense. Please do not forget to budget for it. Your air ticket. Depending on where you come from, your air ticket prices could change. So, for example, when I was coming, because I bought a one-way ticket, it was about $350. If you're buying like return ticket from Nairobi, it would have been about $560, $600 or $700, depending on the time that you book it. So whichever place you're coming from, London, Canada, UK, Australia, check ticket prices and then book. The other thing that I would advise, which is sort of like basic knowledge, but it's still important, do not book your ticket almost immediately. If you know that you're going to move, book your ticket early, save yourself some coins. A huge part of your money, a substantial amount of the money is going to go into the air ticket check, right? Now you're in Ghana, you need a place to live, right? That brings me to point number 3, which is rent. We pay here our rent in dollars, and it's paid annually. So when you're budgeting, please make sure that you factor in rent and you budget, if not 6 months, a year, or 2 years to be on the safer side. And you need the money up front. So if you live in a house that is $500, your rent for the year will be $6,000, for 2 years will be $12,000. So kindly budget for that money. Do not do things in a way that will shock you, right? And you also need to know that housing is not cheap. $500 might not necessarily give you a good place or a decent neighborhood. So if you want to live in a decent neighborhood where there's like electricity, water, sanitation, and no open gutters and sewers, it's at least $1,000 for a 1-bedroom apartment. 2-bedroom is like $1,500 to $2,000 a month, okay? And so if you budget your $6,000 or your $12,000 or your $24,000 or your $48,000 on the side, okay? So that is rent. The next thing you need to know is, how are you going to move about? You need a means of transportation. Are you going to use public transport, or do you want to buy your own car? Now, public transportation can come with its own challenges because you're new, right? So you do not necessarily know where you're going, and you have to depend on people. And the people are so nice and they're so kind, but sometimes you just want to know where you're going. If you will budget, then budget for Ubers most of the time, particularly the trip to go, and then coming back you can find your way with the public transportation, which we call a trotro. If you're going to buy a car, note that again, this is a cash economy. So there's nothing like credit where you pay some amount and then you'll pay for it every month. It exists, but the charges that you'll pay at the end of the day, the interest.
Hello, abusiafo. But Sunburst medicated powder. Now on your form. Hey, say when a man in swans one yes is you. Never good out at all. About cock, I'm a what so.
Or don't. It's what's now I'm why you say a crow.
Take a career, a yam, a crow, a juniper de aboso, and nunye. Sunburst medicated ointment, a bebwao.
Maposu, to me.
Ni Pedro biye onia ments na ho ma honam ya enwu wanim ase waposo complain nyina etso betwa koto Sunburst herbal balm ye from mama Sunburst products edutwem
Obenya Sunburst products our pharmacies any herbal shops to phone friend 0551 907 393 FDA agidwadi enkratio yatum.
Okay, this is Fred Bill Gates, African Bill Gates. I watch Spade TV. Keep watching Spade TV. Spade TV, unity in diversity. Ahaya Kasapreko.
Rates do not make sense. So if you'll buy a car, you need your $10,000 or $5,000, $6,000 or $8,000, depending on the car that you're buying. So you'll also need that money on the side, right? And then we get to like furnishing the house, because you can't live in an empty house unless you go live in a furnished apartment, which is not feasible. You have several options. Will you use the roadside carpenters, or will you go to the mall and buy this stuff? The reason why I say this is because you might want something tailor-made to specifications. Sometimes the roadside carpenters work, but if you want just ease and peace of mind, you walk into the mall, you get what you want and you get out. Things are not as cheap here as they are, or things are not as affordable here as they are back at home. You might not necessarily see the brands that you know or the brands that you like, and that's also okay. We have different things here and they work. I mean, we're living, we're surviving, we're okay. So do not let that phase you. But also what you need to know is inflation has been on the rise. So when you see a couch is going for $300 or $400, tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, it will not be the same price. So you have to factor in furnishing the house, and also just know that the prices are not going to be the same. Every week that you put it off, just know that it will go up by a certain percentage. Then we come to food. Again, food, I'll go back to the point on inflation. Food prices are the most expensive in Accra. Food prices have nearly quadrupled. So it's not cheap. And that is if you're going to the market. If you're going to Makola Market, Abobloshi, you know, the local markets to buy food. If you're going to the farmer's market, that's a whole different ballgame, and you will need to budget accordingly because, again, farmers markets are not very cheap here, okay? So you pay an extra $1 to be able to get goods and produce from the farmers market. If you want to eat out, this is the fastest way to go broke, because eating out in Accra is not cheap, particularly if you want to eat good food and be at a place with great ambience. So I would say limit the number of times that you go out to eat. If you can, cook at home with your friends, or cook at home and eat. It will save you a lot of money. If you want to go to a decent restaurant where the food is great, the ambience is great, the customer service is great, you will end up spending so much money, unless it's fast food, and even fast food is not that cheap here. Cook at home, and that will save you a lot of money, and also time and the heartache of substandard customer service. So if you're moving here, your food budget, you have to be very careful, because food prices keep rising by the day. And the other thing is, eating out is not as cheap. Do not be deceived by social media. People are always out popping, happening. Vacation is different, because when you're on vacation, you can eat out every day. You're gonna go back home, go back to your job and all that stuff. But if you live here, you cannot live that lifestyle anymore. The other thing that you need to budget for is utilities, water, electricity, sanitation, all these things. The prices keep changing. They keep going up every single month. So factor in inflation for these things. You know, when I came, my utility bill was what? How much? $10. It has risen like crazy. Now I pay so much money for utilities. So just be very careful in budgeting for these things. The other thing that is very, very important is money to process your permits. So if it's just you coming and you will need like a resident permit, you will need a certain amount of money. When I came, I paid $1,000, and even renewing it, I paid $1,000. So this is money that you must factor in. And you need to know that the local currency has been depreciating against the dollar. So you'll pay the amount in local currency, but it keeps going up. So when I came, I think it was 8,000. Now it's 12,000. And it will keep rising for as long as the dollar continues to gain momentum over the local currency. We also have something called the Ghana card, and that is $120 for foreigners. So you might also want to factor that in your budget, because you will need to pay for it. Now, for people with children, I want to break your heart just a little bit, right? If you have children and you're moving to Ghana, rest assured that it's not going to be the cheapest thing ever, because your children have to go to school. Now, good schools that teach either the American or the British curriculum do not come cheap. School fees is in excess of $20,000 every term or every semester. So if they have 3 terms, that is $60,000 for the year. It's not cheap. So if you want your children to go and do like an international based curriculum, come with the big money. Come with the big money. So many children who study in these schools are either children of the wealthy, or if you're an expert and the company is paying for the fee. But if you're taking it from your pocket, it could leave a huge dent in your pocket, because this school fees is not cheap. If you want your children to have a continuity of the education that they were having, and just decent education, you'll pay through your teeth and your nose. I know so many people who've left because they were like, it doesn't make sense to pay this much for education, yet where I come from, it's nearly cheap to have the same quality of education, or free, in my home country. And people have just packed up and left, because you're not necessarily going to sacrifice the well-being of your children just to be at a place because you enjoy being there. I hope these tips are helpful. If you have any other question, ask in the comment section, and I'll try my level best to answer as many as possible. If you would like to connect, my name is Ndero Kanga. I have my own YouTube channel where I interview diasporas on their relocation to Accra, Ghana, and Africa in general. And it's just building a community of like-minded people where we share our highs and lows to ensure that you learn a lesson, a thing or two, and don't make the same mistakes that we made when we were moving here. I'll see you again next time.
Hello, abusiafo. But Sunburst medicated powder. Now on your form. Hey, say when a man in swans one years is never good now to talk about cock. I'm a what so.
Hey, tell me. It's what now I'm on why you say. A crow.
Sakakarere, a yam, a cro, a juni pediaboso, and unie, sunburst medicated ointment, a bebwao.
Maposo, me hunam nyina tutu me.
Who when Pedro be onia, meant na home mahonam ya enwu ni masi. Waposo complaining na, et so betra, koto sunburst herbal balm. You're from Mama Sunburst. Sunburst products, educhem.
Obenya Sunburst products, our pharmacies, any herbal shops name. To phone friend 0551 907 393. FDA, I did Jedi and Kratia Tum.